This is the impact of blockchain on international logistics by Parker Kelly, Brady Blackwell, Michael Orr, and Megan Meyer.
Some of the things we will be covering include history of blockchain, purpose of blockchain, future of blockchain, and the impact on international logistics.
Everyone uses paper money. When you get a $10 bill, you trust that it's not fake. If instead someone sent you an email saying, "Here's $10, you probably wouldn't trust it. But when we transfer money, use an ATM, or pay with a deposit card, that's pretty much exactly what we do. We're sending money and a digital message. To make sure no one's cheating or sending money they don't have, these messages go through a few trusted banks that keep a record of everything. They know how much money everyone has and deduct it properly for every transaction. But this becomes expensive when there's a million transactions around the world every minute. The Economist estimates that banks charged us more than $1.7 trillion to process these payments in 2014. That's about 2% of the entire world economy. With blockchain, we can save a lot of this cost because it lets us send money just like sending an email. Instead of sending a lot of payment information through a few servers, blockchain uses thousands of personal computers on the internet. All transactions are copied and cross-checked between every computer in a system-wide accounting book called the ledger, which becomes very safe at scale. Blockchain doesn't just allow us to create safe money online, it lets us protect any piece of digital information. This could be online identity cards, voter ballots, contracts, and many other legal instruments, bringing bureaucracy into the 21st century.
The history of blockchain is a configuration of 5 major innovations. The first that came about is Bitcoin. This was a digital currency introduced in the year of 2008, created by an unknown alias by the name of Satoshi Nakamoto. Once the idea of Bitcoin became public, there was the realization that the underlying technology that makes up Bitcoin could be made separate from the currency. This innovation was then called blockchain. From then, the second generation was a smart contract called Ethereum. This allowed for the financial instruments rather than only cash-like tokens. In order to provide security, proof of stake was implemented, and the idea of miners took part in the process to assure validity. The last innovation that has yet to be finalized is blockchain scaling. This will allow for only certain networks processes rather than everyone in the network to click in the transaction. The purpose of blockchain stems from 4 main points. The first is the simplification of trade within today's economy. This could be an exchange of goods, property, work, or even votes. It makes for a very transparent system. Secondly, it facilitates secure online transactions. This allows for a significant decline in financial fraud. Third, blockchain makes for quicker transactions. And lastly, it reduces transaction costs. Blockchain has the ability to eliminate third-party intermediaries and overhead costs for exchanging assets.
Next, I'm going to talk about the future of blockchain. Some of the changes in blockchain will be control, which will reduce cyber risk through visible ledger. Blockchain could also potentially bring transparency to post-trade environment. Some of the crime, new startups have claimed to track down criminals for less money and more quickly using blockchain. Some implications, central banks will adopt blockchain. It could also reduce costs by $20 billion in cross-border payments come 2022. In industries, small businesses can implement blockchain for a trusted trading platform. Also, in governments, finance in many nations could be dominated by blockchain.
Okay, so now how this relates to international logistics. There's a few different issues that are posed by international logistics right now, and these are some of the relevant ones that blockchain can potentially solve. Right now, there's, as we've discussed in class, an extensive time and cost for international payments to be processed. A lot of different people that deal with the payments, and that can delay a lot of different processes on down the line. There's also very few trusted third parties. A lot of the payments are processed through banks, things like that, and they could be people that don't know some foreign trade agreements that are in place, different things. But with blockchain, it can be facilitated with a trusted third party, and also bookkeeping is private right now as far as the ledgers that they talked about. So the first issue that we're going to discuss is the time and cost that goes into international payments right now. Blockchain would be a great solution to this because it's automated and coded with different rules. So international payments are going to go from taking days to taking minutes because you don't need the third party to do the exchange rates, things like that. It's already coded into the system and automated. So this is obviously going to lower the time it takes to process them, and it's obviously going to lower the cost it takes as well. It's going to take out the need to exchange multiple currencies, and this is going to also take out the exchange rate fees.
So now we're going to talk about the solution to the issue of having not enough or very few trusted third parties. And basically what a third party is, like the video explained, is something like a government, banks, accountants, notaries, and even the physical dollar bills in your pocket. And basically what blockchain's done is inserted itself as a facilitator between parties in international logistics. And some of the main key innovations of this is that the overall transaction process is shortened to little to no time at all, whereas in the past, banks and government agencies could take weeks, months, and even years to complete a transaction process. With blockchain technology, that process is live and in real time and can happen within seconds. So save time, you save money, makes sense. Another thing that blockchain has done is with saving time, saving money, it's actually cut out the fees to run these transactions. So whenever you do any business with a bank or, again, with a government agency, accountants, notaries, it all costs money because they're basically acting as middleman, the third party. And with blockchain, completely cuts that out. So again, saves time and money. And then the last thing I want to touch on is companies must adhere to contracts. So if there's a contract, you can actually program that in the blockchain, and it will be pre-coded with rules and regulations to safeguard the trade, no matter whether it's a service or products or anything like that. And finally, we get to the issue of private bookkeeping. And although this has basically been how it's been the way of things have gone since transactions started, like everything, with time comes change. And this is basically the foundation on which blockchain was created. This type of bookkeeping is neither closed nor owned by any one party. And basically what it is it's a public, transparent digital ledgers maintained by something called Bitcoin miners. And there are thousands of these Bitcoin miners who are constantly comparing digital ledgers to make sure everyone's matches up. It's almost like there's a notary present at every transaction. And basically what this does is it brings a shared single source of truth. That way you're not just having to trust one or two banks or whatever government agency you're doing business with. And this is why you can always trust the blockchain.